if you watched late last night, the Bears got a little bit exposed. I got a couple of stats for you. I went on Fox Bet Live on Monday afternoon and said that I thought the Bears were the most fraudulent team in the NFL so far in terms of teams with good records that we are considering to be good. And one of the reasons why I was saying that was point differential. If you look in the NFC right now, here are the 6 teams with 5 wins or more and how much they have outscored their opponents by. The Buccaneers have outscored their opponents by 80 points in the NFC. That's best in the NFC, and that's one reason why I have the Bucs as the best team in the NFC right now. Then you have the Cardinals, who have outscored their opponents by 57 points. The Rams have outscored their opponents now by 52 points. The Packers have outscored their opponents by 38. The Seahawks by 31. And then the Bears have been outscored by their opponents by 2 points. The Bears, to me, even though they are now a 5-2 football team, could very easily be a 3-4 football team. I'm just not buying into them as a legitimate danger in the NFC compared to the other teams that I just read. I think the Bucs, the Cardinals, the Rams, the Packers, the Seahawks all are better right now than the Bears. The Bears also last night rushed for 49 yards on Monday Night Football, and that was the Bears' 4th consecutive game with fewer than 65 rushing yards. That's the only time they've had 4 straight games with fewer than 65 rushing yards in the Super Bowl era. So what that's telling me is the Bears have trouble running the football, and we've already had the move from Mitch Trubisky to Nick Foles made, and there was some drama about the play calling between Matt Nagy and Nick Foles in the postgame after Foles reportedly said during, according to Brian Greasy's commentary, during the game, Foles had basically told Greasy that there were a lot of plays that were being called that he believed had no chance to work, and that is never a good sign. And everybody tried to walk that back. Nagy said he never heard it, and Nick Foles said that Greasy basically they miscommunicated and he misunderstood what he was saying. I think maybe Foles said it, didn't anticipate that it was going to go out on national television with millions of people watching. And then he went with the old miscommunication line when everything blew up in terms of how much attention that was going to get in the wake of another very poor offensive performance from the Chicago Bears. But let's dive into now. I gave you my top 5 teams in the NFL to start off this program today, and I'll reiterate who the 5 best teams in the NFL are right now through week 7, in my opinion. Steelers, best team in the NFL. Bucks are the second best team in the NFL, followed by the Chiefs, the Titans, and the Seahawks. All of those teams have 5 or more wins. The Bucks are the only team with 2 losses, but I think the Bucks are playing so well right now that I'm not bothered necessarily by that opening week loss to the New Orleans Saints, even though it might well end up looming large if both of these teams continue to win and compete for the NFC South. And I'm also not bothered by the Chiefs' loss against the Raiders, by the Titans' loss against the Steelers, which should have been an overtime game at a minimum, by the way, for the Titans. And the Seahawks finally lost a close game after going 14-3 in their previous, or 14-2 in their previous 16 one-score games. All right? The list of sadness. The list of sadness, unfortunately, begins with fans from the saddest city in America when it comes to sports, and it's Atlanta. Look, the Atlanta Braves gave up a 3-1 series lead to the LA Dodgers, who are probably going tonight, I believe, or tomorrow, to win a World Series title. The Georgia Bulldogs had a first-half lead against Alabama and then got absolutely boat raced in the second half of that game, giving up 21, scoring none themselves. Georgia Tech football is not very good, and they recently had 73 points hung on them by Clemson. And the Atlanta Falcons actually managed to lose a game by scoring a touchdown, which is pretty hard to do. And so that is why I have got the Atlanta Falcons at the 28th worst team in the SEC. They might be the 28th worst team in the SEC too. I actually think Atlanta should be 4-3. I think they're a pretty good football team. It's crazy that they are sitting at 1-6. In the 29th spot, I have got the Houston Texans, who have faded remarkably. And I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. In fact, I am jotting down a note to myself. Deshaun Watson is a $100 million quarterback. Should a $100 million quarterback who has played every game in a season and has been relatively healthy, should a $100 million quarterback ever be on a team that is 1-6? I would tell you the answer is no. Deshaun Watson, if you are paying your quarterback $100 million, what you are doing is trying to keep a guy from ever being 1-6. And remarkably, and I need to star both of these and talk about it, Matt Ryan is a $100 million quarterback too, and both Matt Ryan and Deshaun Watson are 1-6 quarterbacks making $100 million. Now, Deshaun Watson is a lot younger, but Matt Ryan, they're going to have to make some intriguing decisions about him. Then we got the Giants at 1-6. They just continue to lose. Jacksonville at 1-6, and the Jets at 0-7. Both of them right now in really awful, awful shape as we come down the home stretch soon of the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes.